Vivek Ramaswamy is having his moment in the spotlight. You know, he was very aggressive on the debate stage the other night, and according to some people, he won the debate. I do think overall, it's definitely more of a mixed opinion. Some people found him shrill and annoying, but others do support him, and he's gone up in the polls quite a bit since when he launched his campaign. Well, Vivek decided to do an interview with Mehdi Hasan of MSNBC. Now, Mehdi Hasan is on the streaming platform Peacock. If anybody over at MSNBC deserves to be in a primetime slot, I think it's Mehdi Hasan, because he is definitely one of the better hosts. Actually, I'd go as far as to say probably the best host over at MSNBC. I certainly don't agree with the guy on everything, but I think he's a phenomenal interviewer and even better than that, a phenomenal debater. So Vivek, I think, made a wee bit of a mistake here. Now, credit to him for going into the lion's den, right? Like, credit to him for taking tough questions and willing to duke it out. But I don't think there's any way around this. Mehdi Hasan absolutely owned Vivek Ramaswamy simply by pointing out a fact about his record. And by the way, this stuff is landing. Like, the argument is potent enough where now right-wingers are turning on him. People who were otherwise sympathetic to Vivek are now going, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So let's watch and then we'll break it down.
Anti-identity politics, anti-affirmative action in a party that hates the Soros name, yet you accepted a Paul and Daisy Soros scholarship at law school that was specifically set up for the children of immigrants. It was an affirmative action scholarship, and your defense for that is that you didn't have the money to pay for law school, even though you'd already made over $1 million at the time and made another $2 million.
My defense of that is somebody gives you a merit scholarship at the age of 24, you take it. At the age of 24, somebody gives you a merit scholarship, you take it. I didn't say I didn't have the money. I said at a time when I had a lot less money than now, $50,000
you said exactly I didn't have the money, Vivek. You keep forgetting your quote. You said, when I didn't have the money.
So, Mehdi, I've made this really easy for everybody, and I did this in the early weeks of the campaign. I released 20 years of tax returns.
Yes, you
something
did.
that no presidential candidate, let alone somebody who's successful in business, has done. I challenged Democrats and Republicans alike, including the Biden family, to do it.
And
you know what? I released it so that you could look at them, so we can have an honest conversation.
I appreciate that.
The funny thing I
do appreciate that. It's something Trump should learn from you.
Transparency is important. So it's already open and everybody can see it.
Exactly. We have 2009.
But the fact of the matter is, you know what I would advise every 24-year-old should take $50,000.
And 2010, you made $750,000. You had the money to pay for law school. You didn't need a Soros affirmative action scholarship that you now criticize.
I mean, none of this is worthy, but if you think it is, let's get to the detail. That was actually the first big piece of money.
You say you're anti-affirmative action. You took a scholarship for immigrants.
I'm anti-affirmative action.
So why'd you take a scholarship for the children of immigrants?
Which falsehood would you like me to address? The financial one or the one about my views on affirmative action? Because I can go in whichever order you'd like.
Did you not make $750,000?
On the financial piece of it. Not at the time that I had applied for the scholarship that fall.
Yes, you did.
That December.
Yes, you did. This is awkward for you because you did. I've got the tax returns in front of my face.
No, it's not awkward for you. Yes, on December 31st, when the application for the scholarship was that October. Mehdi, you're wasting your time on childish details. In October of that year when I applied for that scholarship. And it was, well, guess what? The bonuses that a hedge fund pays, and it's a shame that, again, you don't have to be an expert on this, but if you're going to spout out, you better know something about it. People pay at a hedge fund the bonuses at the end of a year, and on December 31st, that's when I was paid. I applied for the scholarship that September, and I did not grow up in a wealthy family.
Vivek, you made more money the previous year.
I made $200,000 pre-tax or whatever it was.
No, you didn't.
And you know what?
No, you didn't. You're now telling flat. In 2009,
you have my tax returns in front of you. I don't remember what I made in 2009.
In 2009, you made $650,000.
Oh, man. Oh, this is not going well for Vivek, man. So look, the issue here is obvious, right? The right despises affirmative action, and Vivek Ramaswamy was a recipient of an affirmative action scholarship. So that's strike one. Strike two is it's a Soros scholarship. This guy is like central to every single right-wing conspiracy. And so now he's going to be viewed as some sort of a Manchurian candidate, Vivek is. And then number three, just the simple basic fact that apparently he was swimming in money. He was making colossal amounts of money at the time, and he still accepted the scholarship, and again, affirmative action scholarship at that. So it's like, you had the money, you didn't need the money. You're supposed to be against affirmative action, and it's from George Soros. That's like 3 strikes and you're out right away. I mean, this is like potent stuff. This is like red meat to the Republican base, where even though I'm sure the right wing despises Mehdi Hasan, on this they're going to be, I mean, he's got a point, right?
Made less, $450,000. So the argument that you only made the money pre the scholarship, oh, so now we're bringing tax into it. We've been using gross numbers.
Absolutely.
Vivek, you're wrong on this. Go back and check your tax returns.
$50,000 obviously makes a big difference.
And then you accepted a Soros scholarship for $50,000 when you didn't need it.
Well, you know what the fact is, Mehdi, is $50,000 did make a big difference to me back then. And anybody who has a few $100,000 in the bank is going to take $50,000 without strings attached. Take the scholarship. But my question for you is, why on earth are you, as an intelligent person interested in politics, obsessing over a 24-year-old's $50,000 scholarship?
Because you're a colossal hypocrite, that's why. Because you're a hypocrite. because a core belief on the right, of course, is that affirmative action is messed up. It's reverse racism, which means it's racism, it's favoring minorities. You were favored, and you're a hypocrite because I'm sure now you virtue signal like you're against affirmative action. So, I mean, that's why he's bringing it up. Because on multiple fronts, it exposes you as a hypocrite. And again, I think now, since, look, the far right is conspiracy-brained on, like, literally everything. And so I'm sure they will concoct some sort of a conspiracy. He also had some sort of connection to the World Economic Forum, which, again, is, like, central to, the right's paranoia. and like, that's the core of all that is wrong in the world. And Vivek has some sort of a connection to them. So, like, this is why he's bringing it up. Because he's trying to portray himself, reinvent himself and portray himself. Originally, he was like, I'm the anti-woke guy. I'm leading the charge. And then it became like, I'll coddle Trump's ballsack more than anybody else. Please, look at me. Look at me. And now a spotlight is being put on it. And so, and you could tell, man, Vivek has nothing to respond to this. He's a slippery dude. He's a slippery dude. We covered the debate that he had with Crystal and Sagar over at Breaking Points, and Crystal and Sagar did a phenomenal job grilling him. But no doubt, he's talented as being quick on his feet and being slippery and slimy and, redefining the terms of the conversation and pivoting, and he's really good at that stuff. But he's caught so stone cold dead on this that it's laughable.
And I'm interested in truth.
And Mehdi, that's why I released 20 years. Mehdi, that is why I released 20 years of tax records. Tell your friends in the Biden administration to do the same thing.
So look, this is an instance. Why didn't Trump release his tax returns? Well, now you know. Because it probably would have exposed that he's not nearly as wealthy as he says, or you would have learned that a lot of the money that he got came from sketchy sources. Like, if you're in real estate in New York City in the 1980s, you absolutely have mafia ties. Lord only knows what he was doing. Was he laundering money for them? I mean, one of the mafia's top lawyers was Trump's lawyer for a long time. It's like the reason Trump didn't release those tax returns is because he knows everybody would have a field day with it in terms of picking apart every little thing about this narrative he's constructed. So Vivek tries to do something that's honestly more transparent, and credit to him for that, by releasing it all. But in releasing it all, oh my God, the jackals and the hyenas are at the door, son, and you are being exposed. And I think Mehdi Hasan did a phenomenal job here. Now, by the way, I pointed out that this argument is something that's actually landing. The evidence for that is Breaking Points just commissioned a focus group in New Hampshire for the election. And so they directly were talking to voters on the ground. And they did, a Republican-focused focus group. It was like the primary focus was on Republicans. And one of the people brought up that Vivek is funded by George Soros. And I was like, oh, this landed. This made waves outside of just the typical, look, it says 10.5 million views. Now, I'm sure Twitter juices the hell out of their numbers. So it might be 5 million, but what, at the lowest, it's like 1 million, right? So that's still a lot of people seeing this. And my guess is it got outside of just like left-wing and liberal Twitter circles, and it really just sort of rips the mask off of Vivek. And, that's something that when it attacks the core of your supporters, you're in trouble. And I have no doubt about it that, that was Mehdi's purpose in doing this, but he also happens to be factually correct, and truth is always a defense. So, well done by Mehdi Hasan, and Vivek's slipperiness could not get himself out of this one. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.